In early 2006, Travis Alexander seemed to have it all. He was a rising star in the multi-level marketing world, a successful salesman with a magnetic personality, and a respected member of his church in Mesa, Arizona. He had the perfect life, a charming smile, a promising career, and close friends who adored him. But there was something missing. He was looking for love. Meanwhile, across the country in California, Jodi Arias was living a life far less stable. Though outwardly beautiful, Jodi had always struggled with relationship issues, bouncing from one toxic situation to the next, trying to find herself. She had a history of instability, bouncing between relationships and jobs. Like many, she was searching for someone to give her life purpose. In 2006, both of their lives would intersect at a prepaid legal services conference in Las Vegas, a meeting that would set the stage for one of the most chilling crime stories of the decade. It was there that Travis met Jodi. They hit it off instantly. Jodi, blonde and radiant, was drawn to his charm. Travis, the confident, successful man, felt an undeniable attraction to her beauty and easy demeanor. They spent the night talking, laughing, and sharing intimate details of their lives. Jodi was mesmerized. Travis was intrigued, but there was something in the back of his mind that told him to be cautious. He didn't know why, but Jodi seemed a little too eager. After the conference, they continued to stay in contact. Soon, the relationship evolved into something deeper. They spoke for hours on the phone, sending messages back and forth. Their connection felt electric, but Jodi, well, she was different. She quickly began to show signs of possessiveness, a trait Travis would come to regret ignoring. By 2007, Travis and Jodi were caught in a toxic on-again, off-again relationship. They would break up, only to get back together, each time more volatile than the last. Travis began to realize that Jodi was more obsessive than he had originally thought. At first, it was complimentary, like a fascination or adoration that seemed sweet, even flattering. But then it became stifling, and Travis felt trapped. Jodi moved to Mesa, Arizona, just a few miles away from Travis's home, and despite his hesitation, he let her into his life again. She would often show up unannounced at his apartment, barging in, leaving him with no space to breathe. He tried to date other women, but Jodi couldn't stand it. She would show up at his house, snoop through his things, and follow him around. The relationship became increasingly unhealthy. Travis's friends were concerned. They knew something wasn't right. Jodi became possessive, accusing him of seeing other women, calling him constantly, and sometimes even going as far as to hack into his emails to see if he was lying to her. It wasn't just about love. It became about control. Still, Travis didn't know how to fully cut her off. There was something about Jodi, her charm, her neediness, that kept pulling him back in. He justified it as a phase, but deep down, he knew things were escalating beyond his control. By early 2008, Travis had finally met someone else, another woman, whom he was seriously interested in. He had decided to break it off with Jodi for good. This time, there would be no going back. But Jodi wasn't ready to let him go. She began to spiral deeper into jealousy and obsession, unable to accept that Travis was truly moving on. She began to plot her next move, all while keeping up the appearance of being the sweet, friendly ex-girlfriend. Travis, still trying to balance everything, remained somewhat cordial to her, not realizing how dangerous things had become. On May 28, 2008, Travis wrote a final email to Jodi, trying to break things off again. He wanted to focus on his new relationship and his work. He couldn't do this with her anymore. But Jodi refused to accept his decision. In the days that followed, Jodi would plan what could only be described as a final act of horrific violence. She rented a car from a rental agency in California under the guise of visiting some friends, but she had a much darker plan in mind. On June 2nd, 2008, Jodi made the long drive to Mesa, Arizona, arriving unannounced at Travis's home. The two briefly spent time together. On the surface, everything appeared normal. They talked, laughed, and even took intimate photos of each other. But beneath that surface, Jodi was a woman obsessed. As the evening wore on, Jodi became more and more agitated. She began to lose control of herself, and what happened next was something no one could have ever predicted. At approximately 5:30 p.m. on June 4th, 2008, Travis, unsuspecting, stepped into the shower in his bathroom. Jodi, consumed by rage and jealousy, entered the bathroom and attacked him without warning. The first blow came from a knife. Jodi stabbed Travis 27 times, each stab a calculated, violent act. Travis fought back, but Jodi was relentless. In the chaos, she slit his throat from ear to ear, nearly decapitating him. The blood splattered, and in the frenzy, Travis was shot in the head, execution style. But even after death, Jodi didn't stop. She dragged Travis's lifeless body into the shower, trying to cover up her crime. She took his cell phone, wiped her fingerprints from the scene, and even went so far as to clean up the blood, hoping that the crime wouldn't be discovered. But she wasn't finished. Before she left, she put the camera she had used to take intimate photos of them earlier into the washing machine. However, she forgot to delete the memory card. What she didn't know was that those photos would later be the key to her capture. For the next 5 days, Travis's body lay in his home, decomposing, until his friends grew worried. They had been trying to get in touch with him, but he wasn't answering. They went to his house to check on him and found the gruesome scene. The police were immediately called, and when they arrived, the house was a scene of pure horror. Blood was smeared across the walls, the floors, and the bathroom. His body was unrecognizable, and the detectives knew immediately that something terrible had happened. It didn't take long before they started to suspect Jodi. She had been seen at Travis's house shortly before his death, and there were odd inconsistencies in her story. At first, Jodi denied being there at all. When the police questioned her, she claimed 2 masked intruders had broken into Travis's home and murdered him. But as investigators dug deeper, the lies fell apart.
What is it you can tell me about that day? Did Travis know you were coming? He knew?
This is hard.
Do you remember what time you rolled in?
3 a.m. It's still dark.
You stayed in the house?
I don't really know what happened after that. Exactly. Except I think he was shot. I don't really remember except Travis was screaming. I think I got knocked out, but I don't think it was that long. One was a guy and one was a girl. They had an argument back and forth and she wanted to kill me and he didn't.
Why didn't they kill you?
He said that's not what we're here for.
What happened, Jodi? What did you see?
I didn't have like a little bitch.
This woman should win an Oscar for her performance.
Jodi was finally forced to admit the truth, but she still tried to justify the killing by claiming self-defense. She said that Travis had become violent with her, that he had attacked her, and she had no choice but to defend herself. But the evidence told a different story.
You went to his house. What were you expecting was going to happen? I really expected us to just hang out like we'd always done, and that would be the day.
And it turned so horribly wrong.
It really did. Yeah. That's not what I was expecting at all.
The camera found in the washing machine had several photos of Travis's lifeless body, including one where Jodi was standing over him, holding the camera. The injuries on Travis's body showed no signs of defensive wounds, and there was no evidence that Travis had been attacking her. The truth was clear. Jodi had planned this murder. The trial began in 2013, and it was a media sensation. Jodi played the role of the tragic woman who had been pushed to the brink. She flirted with the media, smiled for the cameras, and even seemed to enjoy the attention. But as the case unfolded, it became clear that Jodi's obsession with Travis was not love. It was control, and she was willing to kill to keep him. In May 2013, after weeks of deliberation, Jodi Arias was convicted of first-degree murder. In April 2015, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She will never be free. But the story of Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias will forever serve as a chilling reminder that sometimes love doesn't just die. It becomes obsessive, possessive, and deadly. This was a love story that turned into a real-life horror, and its chilling nature will forever haunt those who were close to the case. Travis Alexander, a man full of promise, was cut down in the prime of his life by someone he had trusted. And Jodi Arias, a woman consumed by jealousy and obsession, will forever be remembered as one of the most infamous murderers of the 21st century.